Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about the newest and frankly the most confusing warped out there, the Toxysaur. Okay, so obviously the game just released the new G6 package, right? That's the two new archers here, Kulk and Myra. We'll get the artifact for them in a little bit, although if you're a super Kraken, you can probably get it through the exemplar system already. And of course, we got the new war pet, the Toxysaur. Okay, and so here's the Toxysaur that I've started working on. Honestly, this guy is maybe the most confusing warped in the game to date. Just when you think it's going to go one way, it goes the other way. For example, take a look at this Toxysaur in action here.
Whoa. Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go.
Okay, but all joking aside, the Toxysaur is actually a very complicated pet. We're going to do a deep dive and break down its talent skill and its additional skills here in a minute. But before we get to that, if you just remember these three things, you'll do better, right? First, the Toxysaur needs marksman heroes. It does not work very well at all with non-marksman heroes. Second, the Toxysaur wants you to do skill damage with your innate skills. If your heroes don't do skill damage with innate skills, this is another miss. And third, it's nice but not necessary if your heroes heal themselves with their innate skills, because the Toxysaur will boost that as well. Okay, let's dive into the talent skill here. And like I said, very complicated. One of the complicating things here is you can see there's two big long paragraphs of stuff this thing does. Sequentially, the way it works is like the second paragraph comes first. So let's start there. Okay, so the second paragraph, when your legion deals damage via marksman innate skills, right? That's the marksman trigger here. You're not going to get this if you do this with cav, with infantry, etc. You get these little stacks of corrosive marks, right? You get 3 stacks and they last 5 seconds, all right? And you can only trigger this once every 3 seconds. Your legion does damage with its innate skill. It gets stacks of corrosive marks. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2, when your legion having the corrosive mark buff deals normal attack damage, your target gets a stack of putrefaction, okay? Putrefaction does a number of things. The most important thing is it puts a little ticking dot on the target, and a target can get a maximum of 15 stacks of this. Okay, so let's talk about the first paragraph here of the talent skill. And the talent skill here, it goes off under the normal battle rhythm. Primary, pause 1 second, deputy, pause 1 second, and then the war pet goes off. When the war pet goes off, it does damage to your target and additional legions up to 3 total, right? So this is an AoE pet, very good. The other thing is if whatever your target is has the putrefaction debuff, and the vast majority of the time it's going to, you consume all those debuffs on the target and you get a bonus 15%, put an asterisk, we'll talk about that more in a little bit, per stack of debuff on the target, right? So remember, you can get a lot of stacks up here, up to 15. So you can get a very big, damage boost from consuming these dots on the target, right? The last thing it does, and this is kind of the most easy to understand, whenever the talent skill goes off for the next 10 seconds, if you do any healing from your innate skills, you get a healing buff per stack consumed, okay? And that's why I say, like, it's nice if whatever heroes you're using this have healing, but it's not absolutely necessary, right? Because it's fine, you like to have healing, but it's whatever, the rest of the pet works if you use this with something that doesn't have healing. Okay, so just to recap, right? You do damage with an innate skill, you get a buff. You do normal attacks with the buff, you give the target a debuff. Your war pet goes off, it consumes the debuffs and does extra damage, and plus gives you a bonus to healing based on the number of debuffs your target had. Okay, so let's talk about the unique skills here, and we'll start with Advanced Corrosion, because frankly that's the simpler one. Advanced Corrosion increases the direct damage you deal with that direct factor on the Corrosion talent skill. All right, so here's the talent skill here. That's 22, but that's at 0 stars, and you also have to modify it by luck. If you have a 3-star corrosion with a very good luck score, this can get north of 300. So you can get that, advanced corrosion can be modifying that 300 damage factor. Okay, so this is an amber skill, so it's always going to be 3 stars. And you can see 20%, but once again, that's modified by strength. With a max strength score, you can get advanced corrosion to around plus 60%. So 60% on a 300 damage factor, not bad, okay? Intense corrosion, this is the pet shop skill. This is the extremely expensive skill, and frankly, it's very powerful. This one's a little bit more confusing, so let's go through this, all right? So this increases your base multiplier when you consume those putrefaction stacks, right? So that's the debuff you put on the enemy. This increases the multiplier, the cash in when your pet does its talent skill. Okay, once again 5% here, but that's not modified by luck. 3 stars. So if you manage to 3-star this and get a very good luck score, you can get this to about 16% total. And you look on corrosion here, the base multiplier is 15%. So it is possible to more than double this. All right. So 31%. Oh, that's nice. But remember, you can get a ton of stacks. So under an ideal case scenario, right, that's 15 stacks at a 31% increase each time. That's some massive damage. And the top end under sort of like ideal scenarios, the Toxysaur can be very, very strong. Okay, so what heroes does the Toxysaur work well with? Well, it's going to come as no shock that it's best with the 2 new archer heroes. But let's go through our entire stable to see if anyone else works pretty well with it. Remember, there's 3 things here. First, it needs to be a marksman, so let's eliminate all non-marksman heroes. Okay. The second thing is we want to do skill damage with our innate skills. Okay, so obviously that means both Kulk and Milo here are great because they do a lot of instances of skill damage with their innate skills. So that's great. Ruby's honestly pretty good. Kaylin is okay. And then the G4 archers are very good with this as well. So if you're looking to build out a second one, or you just never built out a good Barb Manticore, the Toxysaur should be pretty good with the G4 archers. G3 archers will not work at all because Mag and Zay, they do no skill damage with their innate skills. Their innate skills are all about buffing their normal attacks. So that, and very strong heroes, but the Toxysaur, not a good pair for them. The G2 archers also not good. Now they do a tiny bit of skill damage with their innate skills, but not nearly enough to trigger the Toxysaur's mechanics. So I think obviously the G6 heroes, G4 pretty good. G5 might be okay. Okay. The other thing you want to do with the Toxysaur is, you want to have healing through your innate skills, and that's why also great with the G6 heroes. And that's why some people thought, hey, maybe Megzay would be great to begin with because they do healing all the time. They do, but they can't trigger it because they don't do innate skills. So the healing bonus is really great for the G6 archers. But like I said, the healing thing is kind of a bonus. So if you want to put a Toxysaur on Sybil and Fulgrim, that's fine. Okay, and so the last question is, how should you build this out? Here's the one I'm sort of working on right now, but this is my main account, and I'm not really going to go full in on the G6 archers with my main account. Not because they're not strong or anything, they seem very strong. I'm just not really an archer player. But sort of here is the default build, and it obviously looks very similar. Now, if you're going full in on this, what are you going to do? Well, first of all, hopefully you get 8 slots. Intense Chain Strike, it's not amazing. It's fine. It'll work. But with 8 slots, I would put the 2 unique skills on here and cut Intense Chain Strike. Now, like I mentioned, Intense Corrosion, I think Intense Corrosion is the secret, superpower of this pet. The other thing about Intense Corrosion, it's going to be super expensive, right? People have already bought this out to max on my server. I'm sure that's the same on most servers. So if you're a super Kraken, buy this to 3 stars because this is the secret power of this pet. Okay, other than that, I 100% think you need Chain Strike. Now remember, Chain Strike, it's great to start it up, but you don't have to start it up. The main thing that Chain Strike does is it gives you follow-up normal attacks half the time, which has great synergies both with the Toxysaur and the Archer heroes, assuming you're using the G6 Archers. And so even a 0-star Chain Strike is amazing, regardless if you're using the Toxysaur, put Chain Strike on it at least some star level. Okay, and I think the Toxysaur is going to be a very strong pet. The G6 archers, like I mentioned, look very strong, and I think the Toxysaur complements them very well. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Until next time, you stay classy, Belleron.